We're pitching up a channel, bringing smiles to the world. We're hitting first base. Marty Lurie with friends. Home run, you know the ways and the trends, the stories all with the match of the block. It's Marty and
All right, Ryan. Okay, Ryan, our producer, we lost you for a minute, but that was Ruby Barmay, my granddaughter, who wrote this. We didn't quite get the end of it, but she wrote the whole song and performed it. So I'm very proud of her. And that's our opening to Marty Lurie and
Nice.
Friends
All
talking
right.
baseball.
Good.
So glad to be with everyone tonight. Joined by Sean Hjelle, the right-hander of the San Francisco Giants, and Andy Baggarly, one of the top baseball writers, I think, in the country. And of course, he writes now for The Athletic. Extra Bags on Twitter, as I used to call him. How are you, Andy?
Great. How are you, Marty? Hi, Sean.
Good. Yeah,
How's it going?
everyone's good. Yeah, glad to have you guys with us. Let's start it off. Andy, today you had quite an event. You climbed Camelback. Is that correct?
Yeah, we went out with the rest of the beat writers, Sheena Rubin and Maria and Justice, and yeah, it was we clambered up, made it all the way to the top, saw the view from up there is amazing, and you got to do a little bit of you're using your hands, not just your legs. So, but it was fun. And now I've got my
You-
hat on because I've got really bad hat hair. So
All right, that's right. And Sean, have you done that yet? Have you gone up Camelback?
Sadly, no, I have not. I've been here. I think this is my 7th spring training down in Arizona now, and I have yet to climb Camelback.
All right. For people who don't know Sean, Sean, of course, the second round pick of the Giants in 2018, the 45th pick in the country. Which, I didn't realize that until I saw it today. 45th pick of everyone in the country, and had a tremendous year last year. And boy, there were so many moments that you had. We'll talk about some of them. But what's it like for you this spring? Last spring didn't end up real well. You had that little strain. How you doing this spring?
Good, good. We're healthy. Body's feeling really good. Coming into camp this year, it's always exciting. It's I always relate it to kind of like that first week of school back. You know,
Yeah.
you haven't seen all your friends in a long time, and you got all that excitement, and it's still there. It's really exciting to just show up every day, and we live and breathe this, so it's our life. It's our blood basically. So it's, at least for me, it is. So it's really nice to be back.
Cool. Andy, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to tell you a little more about Camelback if you want to know. So the way up is a test of your lungs and your heart for sure. But the way down is a test for your brain and your knees. And there are a lot of times that you have to go backwards or you're crab walking or and I'll tell you what, if I were 6'11", it would be a lot easier because there are a lot of times I have a step down where it's like, I'm not sure if my legs are long enough to make this. So that might be, if you ever do Camelback, I think, Sean, you might have an easier time on the way down than I did.
All
I'll,
right.
I'll
Well,
keep that in mind. I'm not going to see you in the training room tomorrow, am I? Am I?
I don't know if I'm allowed in there, but I may be asking Gresh for some Advil at some point. You'll be playing catch. You'll turn around. You'll see him dipping into the big, huge bag of goodies that he's got, and maybe he'll pull out some anti-inflammatories for me.
all right. All right.
Fair
Let's talk
enough.
a little baseball with Sean. How is the camp going for you? What's going on? You've had a live BP, I think, already. You were introduced to Willie Adames. Is that correct?
I sure. Well, I don't know if it's fortunately at this point since we put on the same uniform, but I have already been introduced to Willie Adames before in my career. I'm happy I don't necessarily have to face him beyond these live BPs. It's been good so far. Like I said, body's feeling good. Really excited to be back, and it's baseball season, man, and I'm ready to go. It's going to be an awesome year for us.
All right. extra if you want to jump in, and we can go back and forth, or whatever you want to do.
I was going to say, Sean, you shouldn't feel bad about giving up a homer to Willie when he tagged Logan twice the next day. I mean, clearly he's pretty locked in, and if he is, that's gonna help you. It might help you snag a few wins over the course of the season.
Yeah, well, I told him, I was like, hey man, like we all have the same uniform on now. Like you can take it easy. Like I think you're on the team. You made it. Like, let's let the pitchers get right a little bit, okay? See some. We'll be okay moving forward. Save the homers for the guys that have different uniforms on.
Yeah, good. Well, look, it's a new year, and like you said, everyone's ready. For you, you had a really good year last year, being a relief pitcher. I've talked to Bob Melvin, in the scrum that we call it. Let the guy start a game. I'd love to see you as a starting pitcher. You had 80 innings last year, an excellent walk to strikeout ratio. How do you feel about coming out of the pen, the way they use you, and the possibility that maybe you could be a starter?
I haven't had any conversations about me starting. I haven't necessarily asked for it. I mean, the little kid in me is just happy to be here and happy to have a uniform. I mean, I'll take what I can get, but I think I think Bob knows this by now, and the rest of the coaching staff knows this, that I'll take the ball whenever my name is called. I really don't care if that's in the first, if it's the start of game, or if it's hell, hopefully not, but in the 16th. I will take the ball whenever my name is called. I love doing it, and I'm happy to do it whenever. So I think they know that, and that's, I think, an important role for any team to have, and I don't necessarily know if every team in the league is the guy necessarily like that. So I'm totally fine with where I'm at.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of my favorite moments, Sean Hjelle moments from last year, is we're in Philadelphia, and he strikes out the side, and I made a comment after the game to you about that, about punchies, 3 punchies, and and you said something like, yeah, that's not me, or you won't see me do that again, or once in a blue moon kind of thing. And then you did it the very next outing. You did it again. And I think that I saw a stat where you had the most strikeouts by a reliever in one series since like 1976 or something crazy like that. So I don't know what was working for you in that series, or what do you think allowed you to have the kind of put away stuff that you had last year?
Just getting ahead. I mean, you can't strike a guy out with less than 2 strikes, right? You got to get strike 1, you got to get to strike 2. And I know myself, I'm a sinker baller, I'm a ground ball guy. I pitch to contact, and I want to get. I'd rather have an inning where I throw 3 pitches and I get 3 ground outs. Like that is the ideal inning for me. But I can't get to a spot like that to strike on the side if I don't get strike 1 and then strike 2 after that. So it's just attacking the strike zone from there. And it's funny because I actually remember making a comment to our bench coach, Ryan Christensen, at one point in the year, that I feel like I give up more runs in outings where I have more strikeouts in them. And so kind of on that same, line of the comment that I made to you in Philly there, I just, like I said, it's just not really me. I'm not a strikeout pitcher. I'm a pitch contact guy. And it happens sometimes, but that's not necessarily what I'm looking to go do every single time I'm out there. And like I said, especially you can't strike a guy out with less than 2 strikes. So I got to get there first, right?
Yeah, no, you got to do it, but you got to have control, and that's the issue for me. You have to put the ball where you want to put it. A lot of pitchers can pitch and maybe throw a strike. The guys who have command and put the ball where they want, that's what you got to do in the big leagues. But let's talk a little bit about this pitching staff that you have. You've seen them. You've seen the bullpens and a little bit of live BP. What do you think about the pitching staff? And you have a lot of pitchers on this team.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I feel like we have a wide variety of arms and angles too. I mean, you go from a guy like me, and we cover the whole side of the clock, from me to Walker, who's thrown from the third base coach's box, to Tyler Rogers, who's thrown from the dirt on the pitcher's mound itself, and everywhere in between. So I'm really excited. Just I feel like we have so many different unique looks that we can give to an opposing team's lineup that keeps them on their toes and keeps them guessing. And I think it's going to be a really exciting year for us, just as a staff as a whole, but especially down in the bullpen.
Okay, we got a question here from Aaron. What are your personal goals this spring compared to past springs? And do you have any crazy baseball superstitions? Maybe chicken enchiladas like Vogie, and Ryan Vogel's song. So go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, like you already mentioned last year, I got hurt in camp and I missed the first 20-ish games or so. So a great goal for me is to stay healthy all of camp and be healthy into the season and throughout the whole course of the season. In terms of superstitions, I actually am probably the least superstitious baseball player you will ever come across. Obviously, guys throwing a no-hitter, a perfect game or something, you don't mention it. Like, I follow those rules like everybody else, obviously, right? But I don't have a set pregame meal. I don't put my shoes on a certain way, or I've heard of guys, I won't name him, but I have heard of a certain individual that if he's on a hot streak, like he won't want his like tights or his underwear washed if he's is hitting really well like that. So I don't do any of that. It's not me. Just the standard 9 to 5, have a no hitter or something going on. You just don't mention it.
Yeah, that's what Andy does. If he writes a few columns, he will not change clothes. I've seen that.
That's not true, Marty. Don't spread lies. You're spreading lies about me. I do want to ask, though, John, I do know you have a routine with your cleats, though, your Lord of the Rings themed cleats. Can you let us know what your how do you schedule them? Which day do you wear which cleats go with which
I tried to do something. So I got cleats for last year for their Lord of the Rings themed. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, nerd about it. I could take up this whole show and talk about Lord of the Rings, but I don't want to do that to you. So I have 3 pairs of cleats for the 3 trilogy movies, stories, books, whatever you want to call it, for the Fellowship,
great, by the
Two
way.
Towers, and the Return of the King. Thank you very much. So for 3-game series, especially at home, I tried, wearing the Fellowship game 1, Two Towers game 2, Return of the King game 3. I tried that out. There really wasn't any science to it at any point. It was just kind of a routine, I guess, for me. Okay, it's game 1. I wear my Fellowship of the Ring cleats, right? It's just 1, 2, 3. It was just all at that point. I guess I got the same cleats again this year. If they're not broken, I'll wear them into the ground. So I'll try it out again this year and see if there's something more magical this year with them. But a cleat is a cleat, and as long as it digs in the dirt, then I'll be just fine.
All right. So what's it like being around Justin Verlander? What's that like?
It's been great so far. We're still, math. We're 1 week in now, I guess, officially, of pitchers and catchers being here. So not a ton of time, but it's been pretty fun so far. I mean, obviously, someone of his caliber. Today, actually, he was in the clubhouse of, guys like him and Scherzer and Kershaw. Like, the way the game is going, I just don't know if we're going to see starting pitchers with numbers like those 3 guys have again or anytime soon, right? I mean, their pedigree and their just the list of accolades that these guys have acquired it's amazing. It's what you aspire to when you're a kid in the backyard, right? So I'm really excited to just be around him for this year and pick up what I can, and he's already setting up team events for us and buying into the culture of what we're trying to do, and it's just really exciting to see somebody that's been around the league like that just buy in right away and just basically announce, like, hey, I'm here, I'm a San Francisco Giant, like, let's win, like, let's go out there and show who we are.
Yeah, I like him. He walks around like a coach already. If guys are doing a bullpen, he's behind them. Why? He did that with Birdsong. I was watching the other day, and he had Birdsong change his position on the rubber, and it's pretty. And I like Verlander. He's a nice guy. He's been. I said I interviewed him, I think in 2005 when I was doing the A's pregame. I think that's the first time I met him, and he said, "Yes, I remember." No, he didn't say that at all. But He's a decent guy. I like him. Hey,
Yeah.
if he give you 5 innings and turn the ball over to you to take it, 2 1/3, I think it'd be terrific.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean that he has probably forgotten more about this game and about pitching than most of us will ever know about the game and about pitching. I mean, I was in the training room today and he was talking about his life BP and how he would attack hitters and this and that. And like, I'm going about my work and doing my shoulder care and whatnot, like half listening, trying not to like invade in a conversation, right? Because I'm not a part of it, but I'm just sitting there just trying to soak up as much as I can. Because I mean, again, like I said, he's just probably forgotten so much more about the game or doesn't even realize his knowledge is like new for the rest of us, right? It's just been a part of his life and a part of his game for how long now, and it's all new to us, and we're just picking up as much as we can here and there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
live BP was fun today. They allow the fans to come in and watch for free, and none of the concessions or anything are open. But they really needed to hand out popcorn for this one because it was entertaining. It really was, and he was facing guys and he was setting them up. And at one point, he threw a curveball to Adamas, and he said, "Oh, I really thought you were going to swing at that one. I thought I had you." And then Adamas started to step out of the box, and he yelled, "Get back in there!" And he wanted to throw him another
Yeah.
pitch. So that was fun. It was just fun to watch. And then Elliot Ramos hit one basically off the scoreboard off him. But so Elliot
That
just,
went
okay,
far.
thank you. Yeah, he didn't
Yep.
pimp that one at all. He just walked right back behind the screen.
Yeah.
But you could see that everyone was really into it. And when the young guys are throwing, Verlander's right back behind the screen, behind second base. I'm watching Landon Roops, the first guy to throw live BP, the first day that they were doing it 2 days ago. And there was Robbie Ray, Logan Webb, Justin Verlander, and JP Martinez. And it's like you've got 4 pitching coaches back there. So whether it's those guys on the pitching side, or it's a Matt Chapman who knows he's going to be here for a long time, or Willie Adames who knows he's going to be here for a long time, I just think there's such a great leadership structure in that clubhouse, which can only be good for just keeping everyone on the same page, keeping everyone motivated, eyes on the prize, doing the right things every day. Those are great signs. I just think that there's a really good vibe around the team from a sort of a leadership standpoint.
Yeah, I'm with
Absolutely.
you. Yeah, Dan,
Absolutely.
here's a question from Dan. Ryan, you can put it up there. You guys can read it from Dan Cocamiglio, who does a very nice YouTube show as well. More excitement among the players, camaraderie, accurate assessment, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, part of it, like we're just getting back, and the first few days are always exciting. But like you just said, Begs, like the leadership and having those guys like Willie and Justin come in and right away and just buy into what we're trying to do and the culture that we've already been establishing the last year or so, with the veterans that we've had like Logan and like Matt Chapman and Robbie. Just having those guys buy in right away and just immerse themselves into it and just say, I'm here. I'm here for a while. Like, let's do this. And it's really fun to see. It's really cool to be a part of that and just be a part of that base and be a part of that building block for not only this year, but for teams to come in the following years, whether it's, 5 or 10 or however many years down the line. It's really cool. We're in it right now. Like we can't really sit back and take a step out right now because, I'm in it right now, but 10, 15, 20 years down the line, I'll be able to look back to this point and say like, that was the team that started this base for the success that the San Francisco Giants have had for however long this is going to continue for. And it's really, really cool to be a part of that and be in that clubhouse right now.
Well, pitching is different. Putting pitchers together on a team different than when I grew up, or even when Andy grew up. If you can get 5 2/3, as I say, out of a pitcher, it's okay to turn it over to the bullpen because you got 5 or 6 guys. How do you like that? Because look, you went to Kentucky. You're a starting pitcher your last couple of years in Kentucky. You're the 45th pick in the draft, and you're in the bullpen. And you're a big guy who can start. So what do you think about the way the game is progressing?
I mean, for me, like I said earlier, like I'm just happy to have the ball and I'll throw the ball whenever my name is called. and whatever that job is what that job is. In terms of how the game's going, I mean, there's so many more numbers and analytics and stats and data that's out there of how to run teams and manage staffs and this and that. And that's why it's so important to put together a really good coaching staff who understands not only those numbers, but also understands their players. To be able to go out and have that conversation. Like I saw this interview that the documentary that the Guardians had done about Stephen Vogt and his first year, and he did an incredible job with Cleveland and trying to make Tanner, I believe it's pronounced Bibee or Bibee, but trying to make him, a dude, a starting pitcher in this league that can be a workhorse for their team. And there was a situation where they were trying to, do we take him out? Do we leave him in? Whatever. And some coaches wanted to take him out, and finally a bench coach spoke up and was just like, listen, I thought you wanted to make him a dude. I thought you wanted to make him a guy in this league. And so Vogt went out there, had a conversation on the mountain. Normally you see the manager go out the pitcher's out of the game, right?
Right.
But Vogt went out there. He said a few quick words, left the ball in Tanner's hands, and Tanner went out and finished the inning. And I think that's why it's so important to have that trust and that respect with your coaching staff, and even within the player personnel as well, just within the players ourselves. And I think that's what we have here. I think Bob does a really good job of trusting us and giving us the ownership to push ourselves and get better every single day, and finish the whether it be finish the ball game, finish the inning, finish the batter, finish the pitch, whatever the situation may call. I think Bob and our coaching staff, they've done such a good job of building that trust and respect with us as a whole team. And I think that's only just going to continue to go, and it's just going to keep moving forward from here.
Well, we got a question here. Vita for life. Which of the three films was your favorite, and why is it Two Towers?
Oh man. So I get into a debate all the time with people when Lord of the Rings comes up, and everybody thinks Two Towers is the staple movie of the series. Don't get me wrong. It is incredible. It is a great movie. Like, the final battle scene is incredible. It's intense. Like, it gets you like pumped up and everything. The Return of the King, the third movie, is my favorite. And for me, it's my favorite because the whole lore of the whole storyline, and again, I will try not to get into it. It finalizes everything. It connects all those dots. There's a lot of loose ends that are tied up from so many things, and that's why it's my favorite. But I mean, we're splitting hairs at this point. I mean, you asked me which one of the trilogy is my favorite movie, and it could be any single one on any given day. I mean, they're all just incredible. So I hope that answers that question. I don't know.
The one thing about Return of the King, the one criticism I have is they ask an awful lot of your bladder when they made the director's cut of that movie, because you think it's going to fade to black about 8 times, and it doesn't.
Yes.
And everything that follows, every ending, you think, it's great. I love it. And I won't lie. I get a little emotional every time I watch that movie. But I'll tell you something cool. So like to travel in the off season. And in November over Thanksgiving, went to New Zealand, which I've done a couple times. And one thing that I really wanted to do, because the Lord of the Rings movies were coming out when I went to New Zealand a couple times in the 2000s. And so we went to Hobbiton and saw the sets there before they remade them and everything. And we stayed at a little inn on the South Island, and it was not far from this place called Mount Sunday. And Mount Sunday is like this little bump in the middle of a big river valley surrounded by mountains on all sides. And that was where they had built the sets for Edoras, which is, if you're into the Lord of the Rings lore, it's the capital of Rohan, and which is big in the Two Towers. And so we just didn't have time to do it. It was a gravel road. It took about 2 hours to get there. So this time I said, we're doing it. And we did it, and we climbed up Mount Sunday. And so I can say that I've been I've stood where the Golden Hall was once. Actually, they built the set, and that was really cool. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I'll just show you. I've got tons of videos and photos. I'll show you some tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to see them, but at the same time, I really don't, because I want to make those videos myself. Marty, you asked me about my bucket list, and it's not complete, but that is on my bucket list, to go do the Lord of the Rings tour and trail in New Zealand. I have yet to do that. That will be done at some point in my life, for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very good. You're getting good questions here. What was the turning point for you when you figured stuff out, so to speak? Was it a pitch? Was it advice? Because last year, boy, when you connected, when you put it together, you were dominant. And what was it for you?
Well, in terms of pitches, I started throwing the cutter last year, and that helped me out, especially against left-handed hitters. Just opened up some doors, kept lefties honest against me in terms of respecting my go-to pitches and whatnot. So that, in terms of like the technicalities and tactics and whatnot of pitching, that helped a lot and opened up some doors, like I said, against left-handed pitchers. But honestly, like, just the mentality of just like, I'm a big league pitcher. I'm gonna block out the noise. I know I'm good enough to be here, and I'm not gonna care who says what. I'm just gonna go out there and do it. I got some questions last year of, what have you changed? Like, what did you do? Like, are you throwing different pitches now? Are you throwing your pitches better? This and that. It's like, I was throwing the same stuff. I was doing the same thing I pretty much have always done. I just cared a lot less about the outside noise, and it just really unlocked this comfort and this confidence. And you compound that with, certain situations I pitched in, especially coming off of injury, and just being able, given the ball in certain situations of high leverage, and feeling that trust from the coaching staff, and then having that trust from the players behind me in the clubhouse. Like, it unlocked everything for me, and it just built this comfort and this confidence that I felt like I belonged. And that really was it. It wasn't necessarily a massive physical change or overhaul or anything. It was just a mentality.
Cool. Andy, you wrote Andy,
I'm glad you mentioned, Marty. I just want to follow up on something about Sean's season. I mentioned this to you, Sean, the other day. I think it's easy to forget that you had the elbow thing in spring training, and that can derail your whole year. And for you to come out and not only have a good year, but I think it was 55 appearances and 80 innings, and the numbers,
not that anyone tracks. Sorry, I'm not a big stats guy, but I do know those ones.
So I mean, that's a lot of work, and also, even though the overall numbers were good, as is usually the case for relief pitcher, but especially for you last season, I mean, there are always times when you just have to kind of wear it. Either the team is short on pitchers, or that someone's just got to pitch to the end no matter what happens. And there was one game at Dodger Stadium where I think you just had to wear it, and had a 6 spot. And so you take those 6 earned runs out, and all of a sudden we're talking about numbers that are overall that are really good, that jump off the page. So I think whenever you evaluate a reliever, you should just throw out like their 3 worst games. And
I like that.
Sometimes that'll really tell the story more, or you see what percentage of your outings were you unscored upon. That's and for you it was pretty high marks. So for you to come back from being a little bit behind and put together that kind of season and that kind of volume of workload, I think that's something that you should feel pretty darn good about.
Yeah. 3 and 4, 390 earned run average, 58 games, 80 and 2/3 innings, a 121 WHIP. But the strikeout to walk, 8.37 strikeouts to 1.56 walks. For me, that's when I think of your year last year, you were more swing and miss. When you threw that ball, you overpowered people last year. And for me, that was the difference. But whatever, it was fabulous. And I'm glad that that success could come to you. Andy, you wrote a story this week about pitching partners, an excellent story about Tyler Rogers, who had his brother as his warm-up partner, which is before the game and practices and all that. You have someone that you pair off with. And of course, he's gone, and Tyler Rogers has to find a new pitching partner. And he tried Ryan Walker, and of course, Ryan Walker just throws the ball so hard you don't even want to be around. But I'm curious, Sean, you're a big guy. Who's your partner that has to catch you in warmups?
So I played catch all of last year with Ryan Walker.
Oh, you did.
And
wow. Let's see your thumb. Is your thumb okay?
I still have 10 digits on my hands. Still
All
got
right.
them for now. So Ryan's my catch partner. Man, I wish I could say that after a full year playing catch with him got easier. But it's just, he's so unique and so good. I mean, it's just, even on a light catch day, like, his stuff is just so good. It moves so much, and it's just effortless for him. So it's fun. It, keeps me locked in. That's for sure. I got to pay attention when I play catch with that guy. But yeah, Ryan was my catch partner, and I don't know what Tyler's going to do this year. Him and Taylor obviously had a they had a good connection. Obviously, they've spent their whole lives together. But I don't know what Tyler's going to do this year. He might be searching. We'll have to find out and see.
That's one of my favorite little tidbits about the brothers is that, obviously they're twins. They share the same birthday, and it's in December, like around the 18th or 19th or something. And their birthday present to each other every year was to play catch for the first time in the off season. And so they've been catch partners their whole lives, and so Tyler, lost more than having his brother as a teammate. A couple of weeks before spring training, he lost his catch partner. And, there's stories in spring training that I love to write about, or things that like really give you a window into just little aspects of players and their lives and what it's like. And one of them that's can get a little bit like a junior high dance floor is pairing off, who's going to be my catch partner. Right. So there's a little anxiety around it sometimes. So I've been watching every day to see who Tyler's been playing catch with. And it was Logan one day and Robbie another day. Now, mostly it'll be the relievers who play catch with each other because they go out early, right? And we don't know who all the bullpen's going to be. And it could be a lot of different pitchers. I mean, there's a lot of starting pitchers that they could shift into a relief role, whether it be a Landon Rube or a Keaton Wynn. And, there's probably about 3 spots in that bullpen that are kind of unaccounted for after you, Sean, and Randy and is probably in there. And we know the guys at the back end. So I'm sure Tyler will settle on somebody, but he also said, hey, I get it. People don't like to catch me either because I'm going to drop down at the end and I'm going to throw that rising slider that's going to be right at your jaw and you're not going to be used to it. So he knows that he's not necessarily got a whole lot of selling points to be your catch play partner, but I'm sure he'll find somebody.
Who did you have before you settled on Ryan Walker?
I floated. I was in Tyler's spot that he's in right now. I was asking whoever was available that day, and more often than not, it was a bullpen catcher that was out there.
Yeah. It's funny to watch guys warm up. I was standing behind Duvall just in warm-ups. You guys were warming up in the outfield and the whole thing. And man, I'll tell you something. You can say what you want, Duvall. I mean, had a rough year, his control, this and that. But when he lets go of that ball, and you're standing behind him, it gets to the catcher before you know it.
Don't blink.
No,
don't blink when you throw at that guy.
I'm telling you,
I feel like I don't shy away too much, but that's a guy I'm okay not playing catch with. That's somebody else can take that down.
Yeah.
Well, and we're lucky Alex Berg is still alive after what happened last year.
Oh man, he caught that ball. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but he caught that ball when Duvall threw that and the lights went out mid throw, whatever. Bergie caught that somehow, and I don't know how. I think it was in 2021. When Stephen Piscotty caught that ball in Oakland in the sun off Buster, and he just completely turned and the ball just found his glove, right? I can only imagine that that's what happened in that situation. Like the glove just happened to be up and he just happened to catch it because I don't know. I was terrified when that happened. Yeah, don't know how he caught it, but he did.
He wasn't wearing a chest protector either.
Wow.
I mean, that's the scary part.
Oh.
And it was the first day that the Giants were trying out the thing where they drop out the lights, and have the big closer
And we didn't know.
entrance
They
and
didn't
stuff.
tell us.
Right.
So
Yeah,
no
there were
one
some
had
people who felt
any
really bad
idea.
about what happened. But yeah, the lights went out right as he was releasing the pitch. And yeah, Alex Berg said his phone absolutely blew up. Of course, we all wrote about it. The Giants gave him like a gift bag and care packages and gift cards and stuff. And he was like, yeah, no, it was all very nice. And I'm glad it turned out well, but I could have died. So, yeah.
Very nonchalant about it. That sounds like him.
No, I could have died, but, whatever.
Hey, spring training is going to have an interesting part to it, and that is what they call the robo-ump, a couple of challenges and that kind of stuff. The pitcher can't help. It's just the catcher's got to do the job. The pitcher can't scream or yell or anything like that. No help from the bench, and you get a couple of challenges. What do you think about it?
I got a little taste of it when I was in SAC a few years ago, and if you're gonna make me pick between one of the two, between just a full ABS and the challenge system, I would pick the challenge system. Ideally, I would pick neither. Personally, in terms of not having a part in it, I'm fine with it. I know that the pitcher's vantage point is obviously we want every pitch, right? We want every pitch that's close. We feel like, when it's close, like, hey, I executed my pitch. I got it. Reward me, right? We want every single one that's close. And I'm totally fine. Like I trust our catchers. They know the strike zone a lot better. They're back there. They're talking with the umpires. If they feel like it's a no-go, then it's a no-go. And I can, at the end of the day, I can lay my head down at night and live with that. That's not a problem. Personally, I hope that this system doesn't stick. I think that it's been a part of the game forever, right? Since the establishment of the game, you feel out the umpire's strike zone. You work the strike zone around it. You pitch according to it. You work with your catcher. Your catcher works with you and the umpire, and you talk about it and you figure it out. Like that's what the game has been for years, for centuries, for 150 something years. I don't know the exact number, but it's what it's always been. It's been 60 feet 6 inches. It's been 90-foot base paths, and a human being calls strike zone, calls outs at the bases. That's what our game is. And I understand, trying to tailor things to get more fans and get more viewership and get more excitement around the game. And I'm all for growing the game. I just personally don't think that this is one of those things that will do that. If it is, then I'm wrong. Great. End of the day, whatever. But we'll try it out. We'll see how it goes. And like I said, if it is something that's good for the game, then it ends up being good for the game, and I'm wrong, and who cares? But yeah, I guess that's where that's at for me.
Yeah, Andy, what do you think? Have you seen it before, by the way?
Yeah, in fact, just yesterday they had a media day for us at the Arizona Biltmore, where Rob Manfred spoke, and then Morgan Sword, one of the MLB's vice presidents, gave us a video presentation on the entire ABS system. I learned some things that I didn't know going in. The way the system's going to work, not to give you like the full presentation, but just to boil it down, teams are going to have 2 challenges, and if you go to extra innings, you don't get extra challenges. You get extra mound visits, but you don't get any extra challenges in a game that goes to extra innings. They're going to use it in spring training in the ballparks that they can equip it, the technology. And so Scottsdale Stadium will not be one of them. And so some teams are going to have most of their games with this system in spring training. The Giants, I think, are only going to have 11 games where they play on the road, where it's going to be in force. So they're going to test it out in spring training, see how it works. Teams, like I said, get 2 challenges, and the challenges have to be immediate, like within 2 seconds. Right. And the people who can challenge it are the pitcher, the catcher, or the batter. Now, some teams in the minor leagues did not allow their pitchers to challenge, because the thought being that the pitchers are more emotional. And they did have data on this, and they showed that the overturn rate for pitchers challenging was just a little over 50%. For catchers challenging, it was a little closer to 60%. So still, not like overwhelming.
Flip.
60%. A lot of them, they lost their challenge. So it does bring up a host of interesting little dramatic sort of sidelights, which is, what if you're a rookie hitter and you're in the first inning? Do you feel like you can really challenge a pitch? You better not be wrong. You do get your challenge replenished if you're right, by the way. And the other thing is, what's the strike zone exactly? How do they compute it? And that was interesting to learn about, because the way they did it, I've got my notes here. It's 53% of your height and 27% of your height forms the top and the bottom of the strike zone. So they're measuring every player. And I guess they even are guarding against players like slouching, or trying to do things to make themselves short. It's kind of funny when you think about it. Every NBA combine and everything, everyone wants to make themselves look as tall as possible. But if you're a hitter, you want to make your zone as small as possible. So you're probably going to try to slouch or do something. So apparently they found a way to measure people where they can't do that. But yeah, a strike zone for an Aaron Judge is going to be a lot bigger than a strike zone for a Jose Altuve, obviously. And I wonder, is that going to mean that shorter players, hey, it's a smaller strike zone. They might draw more walks. Who knows? But that's the way they're going to create sort of the box for every player. It's going to be unique to every player based on their height.
Well, interesting. For me, I like it. I've seen the system in minor league parks before, and it was seamless. It just was very quick, but it's strategic too when you're going to use a challenge. I mean, you better use it on the third strike, or something like that in the sixth inning when you got second and third. You better not be, as Woe was telling me in Sacramento, they were using, in the first inning, they'd use up the challenges and that would be the end of it. So you can't do that. There's a lot of strategy to it, but I'm with Sean in a way. I've watched baseball for too many years here, and I kind of like the idea of the umpire still having that control of the game. What I don't like is the box on TV. I don't want the box because the box is deceiving. And if the box is not accurate, don't show it to me, because then I'm just going to get upset if I think the ball hit the box and they didn't call it, when in fact the ball may have been out of the box in reality. So for me, get rid of the box. That's my take on it. And
they might. That's one of the things they talked about. They don't want a situation where people could actually, see the box on TV and find a way to get a message to someone to say, challenge that pitch, which I don't think would happen. So you have to do it in like 2 seconds. But they're experimenting with changing it from either having the box and not having, the little overlay with where the pitch actually
the
location
K-zone
is.
Yeah.
Right. Or they have the pitch location and they dot that without having the box. Or there's another one where they just had the corners of the box and that's the only outline you see. So they are actually working through this to find out what's the best way to display, because a lot of fans really like it. I mean, they like to be able to see where the pitch location is. And you're right, it's not perfect. And umpires are frustrated by it because they're like, look, we're being judged by this that fans are seeing that's not necessarily accurate. We're being judged by MLB's metrics. And then there's third party people who will give umpire scorecards, et cetera, that they put on social media. And they're using a different set of data as well. So umpires are like, look, we want to be able to be judged fairly for the zone that we call. And there's like 3 different standards out there.
Well, spring training, everybody is healthy. Everyone's had a great winter. Their legs are great. They're running as hard as they can. Everything. I've never heard anyone come into spring training say, I didn't feel that good over the winter. You never hear that. And then you get the speech on opening day of spring training when everyone's there. And it's like the Cheez-It commercial, where he's talking to the cheese pieces and, you've matured. It's good. You're going to have a great season. What is it like, Buster Posey for the first time? And of course, Bob Melvin. What kind of speech did they give you guys? Was it emotional? Did you want to break the door down and run out to the field?
It was. It wasn't quite that. It wasn't quite a Braveheart type of speech, It was more so, we're gonna work. So if you want to grab your work pail and you want to grab your lunch pail and show up and work, then let's do it. If not, then we'll find something else for you. And I'm all for that. You want to let's show up, let's work. And I've gotten some questions, about the Dodgers and everything that they're doing, and they're doing their thing. Just great. That's what they want to do. Honestly, personally, I'm okay flying under the radar. We're going to show up. We're going to work. We're going to put our heads down. We're going to grind for 162. We're going to take the field every single time, expecting to win that ball game. And if we fly under the radar, then great. We'll just surprise everybody and just show up and just beat them. And at the end of the day, I think our goal, whether we win or lose, is to have the other team walk away and go, I don't want to play those guys again.
Yeah.
If we can get other teams to say that about us, like, damn, that was a tough series. That was a tough game. Those guys battled. I don't want to see them again. Then we did our job. So that's what we're trying to instill. That's what we're trying to do. And that was the message, was we're going to show up, we're going to work, and we're going to make a lot of teams very frustrated playing the San Francisco Giants this year.
Yeah, and do it all together, right? Be a team, and everything's a team focus. One thing I kind of heard a little bit was that Buster was a little nervous given his speech and talking to you guys. And I think one of the first things he said is, "Guys, I've never done this before. I'm a little nervous." And how much humility do you have to accomplish what Buster Posey's done in this game and still feel a little bit of butterflies getting up and talking in front of a room of ball players? Every single person in that room respects the hell out of him and what he's accomplished, and probably thrilled to have him in charge. And but yeah, that's the kind of transparency you get from him. Is the first thing he says is, "Hey guys, I'm a little nervous doing this for the first time."
Yeah, well, and I think what you said there is great. Just the transparency and just being honest and just seeing everything through and through. And I unfortunately never actually got to share a clubhouse with Buster, but from what I've heard, his leadership came from just doing it through example. But he was also really good at just being able to pull a guy aside and do it one-on-one or in a small group. He never really was the stand up on the soapbox kind of guy. And again, that's just what I had heard. So from that, I don't think necessarily addressing large groups in the clubhouse was his thing. But again, like you said, just that transparency, that is great to have, and just know what his vision is, what his expectation is, and setting, the Giants' way and being a flagship team and organization in the game of baseball, and carrying that with us and putting on that uniform every single day. So it's great to see. It's awesome to have that. And excited personally. I'm really excited to have Buster at the helm and Bob after him. And I can't say it enough. I'm really, really excited for this year.
Yeah, I think, and I tell people, I think you're going to play better ball. And I said it to Buster. I said, you're not going to have a guy coming up with a runner on third and nobody out, and the next two guys strike out, or three guys strike out. People are going to put the ball in play, and they're going to play baseball. The number that jumped out at me, and I was in one of the stories, Andy, was there were 90 one or two run games. Is that right? 90 one or two run games.
I think it was 93 3 or less runs was the stat that I had heard.
Well, that, a long time ago, is a wonderful baseball writer, Hall of Famer, Leonard Coppett. And he said to me when I first started doing this, he said, just watch the game. Just watch the game and what happens during the game. And that'll tell you essentially who's going to win the game. Not the amount of runs, of course, but it's the times you move somebody over, you turn the double play when you have a tough play, you make a play in the outfield, you go first to third. Those are the things to me that are important. And I get the feeling this team's going to do that better than they did last year.
Yeah, there's so much focus by front offices and finding ways to sort of shave off probabilities and percentage points and sort of find marginal gains, but you give it all away when you don't play good baseball, Yeah. And I think that's something that this team has. This has a chance to be a terrific defensive team if people stay healthy. I mean, you got Patrick Bailey up the middle. You got, Tyler Fitzgerald's abilities should all play up as a second baseman. I know Willie Adamas's metrics weren't as good last year, but a couple things no one talks about. One, he made almost all his errors at home, and two, they had a new turf system that I think everybody hated in Milwaukee last year. And with Chapman right to his side, I mean, that'll allow him to cheat up the middle probably quite a bit. So I mean, they're paying a lot of money to those two guys on the left side of the infield, and I think it's going to be the best defensive left side of the infield in baseball. And then you got Jung-Hoo Lee in center field, and I think we saw enough of him in just like 30-something games to know, he's going to be a plus defensive center fielder. And by the way, he's got a pretty good arm too. He made a couple throws that kind of surprised me. So, I mean, it's going to be a team that's pretty strong up the middle if everybody stays healthy, and that's, that saves a lot of runs. And some of the projection systems have the Giants #1 in defensive runs saved, and I kind of buy that.
Absolutely. I mean, just for Jung-Hoo, I mean, obviously Matt Chapman, we all know his accolades and everything, but Jung-Hoo, that catch he made in Philly last year where he was running to his right, kind of in that corner crevice or whatever that's in left center there in Philly, that running catch he made last year was one of the most impressive catches I've ever seen. The fact that he didn't have to jump, leap, whatever, he just made it on the run and honestly made it look easy. Like I said, that was one of the more impressive catches I've ever seen. So a full season of that, I'm really looking forward to it out of him, and just having him around and be a little bit more present and in the lineup every day and out there playing. And it's like you just said, I think we're going to have an incredible defense this year. And like I said at the start of the show, I'm a pitch contact guy. I love having a good defense behind me. I'm really excited about it. Get all the balls to guys that are way better at handling it than I am. Get the ground balls out of the way to those guys, and let's go win some ball games.
Yeah.
When you got the PFPs right now for the ones that aren't to you.
Yeah, we got those too.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to talk to Bryce Eldridge and get to know him a little bit?
Not a ton. Talked to him a little bit. We were doing some work, just doing some covers over at first base, and talked to him a little bit just in terms of like, hey man, like you're the first baseman, you got a ball to you, go get it. Like you're a defender, you're a fielder. If you can get the ball, go get the ball. We'll cover first. That's our job, right? He was kind of, I got to get the ball, but I got to cover first too. And he's like, hey man, worst thing you could do is get caught in no man's land.
Yeah.
Trust your instinct, make a decision, go for it. If we don't cover first, that's on the pitcher, right? So talk to him with that a little bit, but overall, not a ton. Looking forward to getting to know him a little bit better throughout camp, and he seems really excited. He's raring to go so far, and seems like he's taking it all in so far really well. And we'll see how he does throughout the rest of camp.
Has there been a pitcher who's stood out to you just in the short time you guys have been throwing?
Well, the one thing that has really stood out has been Peguero throwing 101 in a bullpen.
It's a little guy.
That's, I mean, he's put together though. I mean, he may not be the tallest guy out there, but he's strong. He's put together if you get up close with him. But sitting 101 in a bullpen is just ridiculous, and he was doing it with ease. I mean, it was smooth. It was like he was playing catch in the backyard with his kid or his dad or something. I mean, it was incredible how smooth the ball is coming out. But like I said before, I'm really excited just about this whole staff, just because there's so many different unique angles and pitches and ways that we can attack hitters that I think we're going to put together one of the more complete staffs that are out there. And like I said, I'm excited to watch it all unfold and watch it happen and watch guys work.
Yeah. And guys that, maybe you forget a little bit about a Tristan Beck and how good he was at the end of the season, or Keaton Wynn. I mean, how high the expectations were for him coming into last year. And obviously he dealt with some physical things, and he's feeling really good, and he's throwing 95 and adding 1 MPH every bullpen he throws. And, just how much there's just going to be a lot of innings coverage. and a lot of guys who I don't think this is going to be a team that's going to look to make a lot of roster changes from day to day. They want continuity. But on the pitching side, there are a lot of pitchers who do have those options. So I just think in terms of roster innings coverage, it should be a pitching staff that's the worst thing you can be in is behind the eight ball, looking to somehow cover innings. And those are the teams that are always a little bit on their back heels. And I don't think the Giants are going to be in that position very often because, and even guys who haven't pitched in the big leagues yet, like Carson Ragsdale, you look at his strikeouts per inning in the minor leagues. And, if he's in the strike zone, he's obviously pretty tough to hit. So, and he's on the 40-man roster now. So, I think that's going to be a real strength of the team is just the overall depth of pitching. And it's going to be interesting how many guys you can only keep everyone stretched out, and you can only have 5 guys in the major league rotation, and you can only have 5 guys in the AAA rotation, but they could easily have a second AAA rotation almost, it seems like. So it'll be really interesting to see just what they do with a lot of those guys, because there's a lot of pitching talent in that room.
Yeah, my guy is Robbie Ray. That's my guy. If he has the kind of year he's capable of having, now you go into a series with Logan, Robbie Ray, and maybe a Verlander, and you get Hicks still. And, as Andy says, you got pitchers all over the place. But for me, Robbie Ray, he can beat anybody if he's on, and that's the guy I want to see. What do you think of him this year?
Hey?
Yeah.
I love Robbie. He looks great. He looks in shape. He's ready to go. I think I think my sense is that he got a little bit of cabin fever coming off of injury and everything. He was really itching to go last year, and then he had another setback, and I think he's just itching and ready to go. Like I said, he's in shape. He looks great. You can hear him grunting from the other field, ready to go, ready to work. And it's fun. It's fun to see. It's fun to watch. It's just fun to be around him. So I'm excited for Robbie especially, and like I keep saying, just the whole staff in general. But I think Robbie's more than ready to go.
Cool. Well, I'll let you guys go. It's been a pleasure having you on, Sean. Thank you so much. I know. What time do you get to the park, by the way? Last week we had Zach Manazian on, and he wakes up 4:30 every day to get to the park. What time do you get to the park?
I get up about 6. Get to the park. Try and get to the park before 7, about 6:45ish or so.
Yeah. Okay. More normal. All right. Zach's up at 4:30. 4:30 for him. All right.
Well, he's the boss. He's got to make the big bucks, right?
But thank you for coming on. I know the fans really enjoy it. I love doing this stuff with you. You can do the show if I'm not around. Let me tell you, you have a real future in this. So I appreciate you being on.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. And thank you for having me, as always. I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You're good. And Andy, thank you for coming on. And I know you had a long day today, and I appreciate it. So I'll let you guys go, and I'll talk about some general baseball things and talk about the Georgie Brothers furniture and stuff like that. And I'll let you guys go. So thanks for being on.
Thanks, Marty. I'm going to stand up now, and my quads are going to tell me that I just climbed Camelback Mountain. So wish me luck.
Good luck with it.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one. See ya.
Okay. Thank you. All right. That is Andy Baggarly and Sean Hjelle. Boy, a pleasure. The hour goes so fast, and Ryan does a great job. A couple of things that I want to mention. One is about Georgie Brothers, and it's the largest family-owned furniture store in the entire Bay Area. Right now, and good through March 17th, you can save hundreds of dollars on my favorite line of furniture, and it really is. I have 2 in my house here. Stressless. I own the Stressless furniture downstairs in the living room, and I can tell you it's the most comfortable place to sit in my house. So Georgie Brothers, that's GIORGIBROS.com, and they really are wonderful people. Rob, Georgie, the whole family, no pressure. And if you go in there, just tell them that I sent you. So we have that. The other one I want to mention is one of my favorites, and that is Gene Bagato got in touch with us. And of course, Gene is well known up in Bodega Bay with the Tides Wharf restaurant and the Inn at the Tide. So This is my first communication with Gene. All right. He checked in from the tides up in Bodega Bay, and he said that while the crab season hasn't produced great quantities, the crabs that have been delivered have been excellent. Boy, do I miss this. Down at the wharf, fresh crab is readily available for guests to enjoy either in the restaurant or in the fish market to take home, along with all the other varieties of seafood delicacies. And across the highway up at the inn, where Bonnie and the kids have stayed, large, comfortable rooms are readily available at winter rates for those who want to get away but don't want to deal with 8-hour drives to Tahoe in the snow. So if you're looking to get away for the day or a weekend, remember the Tides Wharf and the inn at the Tides in beautiful Bodega Bay. So we have that. The other one is River Islands, and Will and I will talk about this. By the way, our first show is February 23rd, this Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Larry Baer will be on with me, Mayor Daniel Lurie, Bruce Jenkins, and Ron Wotus. We'll try to get him on too on this Sunday. But I heard from Colleen, and she wanted me to tell you that it's time to discover the islands. And you know what that means for me. That's River Islands. They're celebrating 10 years of bringing the good life to the Bay Area. And the last time I checked, there were 25 model homes open for touring. They range from 3 to 7. Yes, I said 7 bedrooms. Boy, I have 4. I thought I had a lot. And they go up to 4,500 square feet. Homes are priced from the $600,000s to just over $1 million. That's it for that kind of home. It's incredible, really. So start your tour online at riverislands.com. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? And you know, I say this every Sunday. It is time for me to do it as well. So those are a few of the people I wanted to talk about. The Hotel Via, of course, across from the ballpark, and I'll be there April 3rd. We have Mardi Gras coming up April 3rd. So if you're listening to this broadcast and you haven't reserved your spot for Mardi Gras, send me an email, martylurie@yahoo.com. There are not a lot of spots left. You know, this sells out right away, but that'll be at Original Joe's in North Beach. If you want to subscribe to this show, it's very important to do it. And Ryan has that little tagline on the screen for you to take a look at. So we'll go out. Ryan, let's play Ruby singing the song again, because we cut it off a little bit, if you can. And we'll go out with Ruby Barmay singing Marty Lurie and Friends, our theme song. And other than that, probably see you next week. In baseball, I did want to mention a couple of things that I took some notes on. One, of course, spring cliches. We didn't hear too many today from Sean, but everybody feels great. Everyone is terrific. And now, of course, now the games start, and you just hope people get out of spring training without getting hurt. The Toronto Blue Jays did not come to agreement with Vladimir Guerrero. Everyone's saying the Giants should be in the mix for him. He's going to be 300, 400 million, whatever it is. They've got Eldridge coming. I assume that's why they backed off of Alonso. I don't see the Giants in the Guerrero sweepstakes, trade or otherwise, but that's just me. I don't see that happening. Justin Turner, and he's tormented the Giants for years. He ended up with the Cubs. They signed him today. And that's basically it. I saw Lamont Wade, and Lamont says he's in great shape. The legs are good, and Bob Melvin told me that he's going to play some left field as well. To keep Yaz in right, and Jung Hoo Lee. I want to make sure I say his name correctly. Jung Hoo Lee in center, and Ramos, who I love. I just think he made it through the whole season last year, playing hurt. Guy's tough. And you have him and maybe Lamont Wade in left field, but then they're going to need a first baseman, so we'll see where that goes. But then those are some of the spring training stories. So that's our show for tonight, and Ryan will, if you can cue up Ruby, I'll say goodnight to everybody, and we'll see you next week right here on Marty Lurie and Friends Talking Baseball.
We're pitching up a channel, bringing smiles to the world. We're hitting first base. Marty Lurie with Friends. Home run, you know the ways and the trends of stories, all with the match of the